Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. On today's episode on the Idiot Proof Reef Tank, I'm going to show you just how much, or maybe more so, more to the point, just how little you should be feeding your fish. Alright, so the other day I did a little bit of an update on the tank and I said that I was going to feed the fish and I didn't actually show it on camera, and it generated quite a few questions about whether I fed the fish and how much I fed the fish. And I thought to myself, that's a really good point, because I see a lot of newbies overfeeding their fish and that then quickly leads to nitrate, phosphate issues, and basically just overwhelming of food in their tank. So I thought this really short, sharp video, I just grabbed some pellets and also some frozen food out, and I'd show you just how little I feed 2 baby clownfish in the Idiot Proof Reef Tank. So let's get on over into the fish room, and I'll get the camera in there to show you. Alright, so we're over in here into the Idiot Proof Reef Tank. You can see our little baby clowns in there swimming around, and that's pretty much the only living thing we have in this tank. Yes, we've got a decent size anemone and a couple of leather frags, but we really don't want to start overfeeding this tank. So I've got some Aquaforest tiny fish feed, if you can see there. This is just one of the pellets I use, but because these fish are fairly small and got fairly small mouths, I find it to be a good starting point. Now, I'll show you a close-up of these pellets in a second. I'm not sure how well you can see them on camera there because of the light in here, but they're really quite small pellets, and I'm going to grab the tiniest of pinches. I'll just sort of grind that in between my fingers in front of the fish just to release a bit of the scent, and then I'll let it go. You probably only saw maybe about 5 or 6 of these tiny little pellets come out of my fingers. That would be all I would feed these fish in a day. I do feed every day, and sometimes when the fish are new and small in the tank, and depending on the type of fish, something like antheas I would feed maybe 3 times a day. These clowns, if I get a chance, I'll feed 2 times a day, but it still won't be any more than that. Now I'll show you some frozen. Alright, so I've just got some mysis from my local fish store, nothing fancy here, but these ones are quite large cubes, you can see there. Now, for a tank this size with 2 small clownfish in there, I would probably feed about 1/8 of a cube into this tank a day, or maybe twice a day. I'm going to grab one of these cubes, and what I'm going to do is just rub it in the water for a second so we see a few bits of mysis come off. You can see a couple starting to come now, and yeah, that's enough. You see that cube is pretty much still entirely intact. I'm going to go put that into another tank. Obviously, if you've only got one tank, you're going to need to cut these cubes up before you start feeding. Alright guys, that wraps up this short and sweet episode for the Idiot Proof Reef Tank here on Parker's Reef. If you've got any questions about feeding your fish, feel free to pop it in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and as always, if you have not done so yet, please consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification so you don't miss any future videos. Till next time guys, stay safe and keep reefing. Cheers, bye.